Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. As one of my viewer requested, I decided to make a video where I suggest you builds for all the core supports of Arlecchino. In this video, I will only discuss their builds. I have explained her teams and their compositions in detail in my Arlecchino final build guide video, so do check it out. It contains everything you need to know about her, which includes her talent explanations, rotations, weapons, artifacts, and more. Without any further ado, let's jump right into it. Let's first start with the Pyro supports. In this category, first we have Bennett. Bennett follows his usual build. 4-piece Noblesse Oblige, and for the weapon, you can use Favonius weapon for helping with team's energy issues. If the team doesn't have any energy issues, you can use the weapon with the highest base attack on him. It is recommended to use the Favonius sword with Xiangling. Aim for 200 plus energy recharge on him, and for the other stats, get HP and use a healing bonus circlet. With Favonius, build some crit rate on him and use a crit rate circlet. Alternatively, if you are using him in teams that do reactions, like Vaporize, he can use 4-piece Instructor if there's another Noblesse user in the team. Usually, Bennett is the best character to hold the Noblesse set. Next, we have Xiangling. For her artifacts, use 4-piece Emblem set. Alternatively, you can use 2-piece set combinations of Emblem, Noblesse, Crimson Witch, or Attack %. For artifact stats, energy recharge or attack % on Sands, pyro damage bonus on Goblet, and crit on Circlet. It is recommended to use her in mono pyro teams, especially with Bennett, to maintain her burst uptime easily. Around 180 to 200% energy recharge should be enough for her. For weapons, R5 Catch is the best F2P option. Favonius Lance is great if team has energy issues, but I would recommend using Favonius on supports like Bennett instead of Xiangling. Hulma and Wavebreaker Finn, if your team has characters with high burst cost, are negligibly better than the R5 Catch. Engulfing Lightning is the best option overall as it solves Xiangling's energy issues. Next we have Dehya. Dehya is a defensive support as she provides good interruption to resistance, which Arlecchino lacks. She also provides damage mitigation. The best part is that she doesn't need her burst, so you don't need to manage her energy. She is also extremely easy to build. For her artifact set, go for Tenacity of Millilith, as Dehya can easily keep its uptime. Dehya has a downtime of 8 seconds, so for her weapons, Sacrificial Greatsword is the best option. You can use Favonius Greatsword if team has energy issues. For artifact stats, build crit rate if you are using Favonius, then go for HP % stats. If you don't have HP % pieces of Tenacity, it's fine, just give her the set. And for her level, you can just ascend her after 60 to unlock her self-healing passive. Next we have another defensive unit, Thoma. Thoma provides shield and interruption to resistance from his burst. He has a high burst cost, so you need to manage his energy. This is the reason why I prefer Dehya over him. For Thoma, you can use Noblesse on him if there is no Noblesse user in the team, or use 2-piece mixed sets of Tenacity for Kasha's Glow or Emblem. For his artifact stats, HP % or energy recharge on Sands, HP on Goblet, and HP on Circlet. You can go with crit rate Circlet if you are using Favonius. Try to get 200% plus energy recharge on him if he is below C4. If he is C4, go for 170% plus energy recharge. For his weapons, while the Black Tassel will give the most HP, I would recommend you to use the Favonius Lance to help with Thoma's and team's energy requirements. Next we have Chevreuse, the core character of Overload teams. All you need is build HP on her. For artifact sets, you can use Noblesse on her if no other teammate is using this set. Alternatively, you can use 2-piece Tenacity and 2-piece Akasha's Glow. Chevreuse doesn't need any energy recharge as no buffs are tied to her burst. However, with the Noblesse set you need to make sure that you can burst consistently, so try to get around 170% energy recharge on her if you are using Noblesse set. For her weapons, Black Tassel provides the highest amount of HP, and is the best to reach 40k HP on her. However, if you need energy, I would recommend you to use the Dialogues of the Desert Sage's polearm, as it provides high HP stat and energy. If your team has energy issues, you can also go with Favonius, but you will also need to build some crit rate. Now let's move on to the Electro Supports. You will mostly be using Electro Supports in Chevreuse Overload teams. They can also be used to create Overvape teams with a Hydro support. The best support for this element is Fischl. She can have 100% skill uptime, good particle generation, high off-field damage, and needs less field time. The best artifact to use on her will be 4-piece Golden Troop, as it boosts skill damage by a huge amount. Alternatively, you can mix and use two-piece sets of Thundering Fury, Golden Troop, or Attack Percent sets. She uses offensive artifact stats, attack percent on Sand, electro damage on Goblet, and crit on Circlet. She doesn't need much energy recharge, as you can easily keep her Oz uptime by alternating between her skill and burst. Start with her skill, then after Oz's time expires, use her burst. You can also do the other way around by using her burst first, then skill next. For her weapon, Polar Star is her best in slot for damage. She can also use Elegy for the end, but this lowers her personal damage and instead buffs team's damage. However, the EM buff is not valuable outside of vape teams. Any other 5-star bows are great on her as stat stick, with the crit weapons being better. For 4 stars, Alley Hunter is the best option. Stringless is great only if it is highly refined, as the EM stat is useless on her in Arlecchino teams. Other decent options include Prototype Crescent, Song of Stillness, and Rust. Similar to Fischl, we have Yae Miko. She requires a bit more field time, but is a strong option. She uses same artifact, 4-piece Golden Troop. Alternatively, you can use 2-piece mixed sets of Thundering Fury, Golden Troop, and attack percent sets. Attack in Sand, electro damage on Goblet, and crit on Circlet. Don't bother building energy recharge on her, just burst whenever it's available. Avoid using her burst right after placing her skill, as it will increase Miko's field time, resulting in DPS loss. Instead, place her skill, swap to other characters. When her skill is about to disappear, burst if necessary and replace her totems. For weapons, her signature weapon is her best in slot. If the Witsith is highly refined, it can be her second best option, but the buffs are RNG. While EM is not entirely useless, it is not a strong stat for Miko. Nevertheless, it is a strong weapon option, especially at R5. You can use any other 5-star crit or attack stat sticks. Oathsworn Eye, Solar Pearl, Hekishin Ring are some great options. Next we have Beidou. Beidou is a very strong character in multi-target situations, especially against 2 enemies. However, in single target, her damage falls by a lot. She needs only C2 to reach her highest damage potential. She also provides a shield from her C1. For artifact sets, 4-piece Emblem is her best artifact set. Alternatively, you can use 2-piece mixed sets of Thundering Fury, Noblesse Oblige, Emblem, or attack percent sets. You need to have her burst ready for every rotation, so you need to make sure you have enough energy recharge. It is usually recommended to use Beidou along with an electro battery, preferably Fischl, to reduce her high ER requirements. With Fischl or a similar character like Yae Miko, around 150 to 160% energy recharge should be enough on Beidou. For artifact stats, attack percent or energy recharge on Sands if you don't have enough from substats, electro damage on Goblet, and crit on Circlet. For her weapons, all the 5-star stat sticks are a great option for her. Serpent Spine with an attack buffer like Bennett or Chevreuse can be her best option. Skyward Spine is good only if you need the energy recharge. Akamaru is the best gacha weapon. R5 Melusine Claymore, R5 Luxurious Sea Lord are strong weapons, but they are event limited. Prototype Archaic, Black Cliff Slasher are some decent F2P options. These 3 were the best Electro characters that you can use with Arlecchino, with Fischl being the highly recommended one. Other Electro supports you can use are Kuki Shinobu and Lisa. Kuki Shinobu should use the Tenacity of Millith set. She can also use the Noblesse set, but you need to make sure you burst every rotation. You can build her full EM to get some high overload damage. HP is not that needed, as healing is not needed for Arlecchino, so instead build EM on her. Freedom Sworn is the best sword to use. Key of Kaj Nisit is best in overvape teams with a Hydro support. Xiphos is the best 4-star option. Other EM swords include Iron Sting, Tokubo Shigarate. Favonius is good if team has energy issues. Lisa can reduce opponents' defense by 15% from her burst. You can build her like a typical DPS or like Kuki Shinobu with full EM for high overload damage. Lisa needs energy recharge to meet her high burst cost of 80. In most of the rotation, you won't be holding her skill as it leads to DPS loss. It is recommended to use her with a battery like Fischl. With a battery, 180 to 200% should be enough. You can also build her as a cheap support for the off-field application and resistance shred by stacking energy recharge on her. For off-field DPS build, attack or energy recharge on Sand, electro damage on Goblet, and crit on Circlet. She can use the Thrilling Tales to buff Arlecchino or use Favonius weapon to help alleviate teams' energy problems. For damage, you can use any of the 5-star weapons or Widsith or other weapons that I recommended for Yae Miko. Now let's move on to the Hydro Supports for vape teams. For vape teams, the only two Hydro Supports we have are Xingqiu and Yelan. Both of them use the same artifact set, 4-piece Emblem of Severed Fate. If you don't have 4-piece Emblem and no one else is using Noblesse, they can be the Noblesse holders. Alternatively, you can mix and use 2-piece set effects of Hydro damage sets, Emblem, Noblesse or attack percent for Xingqiu, and HP percent for Yelan. For Xingqiu's weapons, Primordial Jade Cutter is the best for damage, followed by Mistsplitter and Heron. Skyward and Wolffang are also strong weapon options. Favonius and Sacrificial at R3+, both are amazing weapon options. Between Sacrificial and Favonius, use Favonius for less field time and to help with team's energy requirements. If your Sacrificial sword is highly refined, it can considerably reduce Xingqiu's ER requirements. Other options include Fleuve Cinder Pheromone, Festering Desire, Amenoma. For Xingqiu's ER requirements, with Favonius, aim for 200% ER. With R3+ Sacrificial Sword, your ER requirements can get lowered up to 160 to 180%. For other weapon options, aim for 220% plus energy recharge. With C6, his ER requirements can go down by around 20 to 30%. These numbers are for solo Hydro. With double Hydro, you can further reduce the amount by around 40 to 50%. Yelan also has similar energy requirements. For Xingqiu's artifact stats, attack percent or energy recharge on Sand, Hydro damage on Goblet and crit on Circlet. For Yelan, everything is same. Just instead of attack, go for HP. For Yelan's weapon, Aqua Simulacra is the best for her personal damage. Elegy is one of her best options as it buffs the team. Favonius is the best 4-star option as it reduces Yelan's and the team's energy requirements. Sacrificial Bow is a good option at R3+. Now let's move on to Anemo Supports. First we have Kazuha. Kazuha, as we all know, is one of the best damage buffers in the game. Use 4-piece Viridescent on him and build him full EM, and look for some energy recharge and substats. Aim for 150 to 160% ER. For weapon, Freedom Sworn is the best, followed by Xiphos. Favonius is great for lowering teams and Kazuha's energy requirements. Build around 30% crit rate with Favonius. Iron Sting, Takubo Shigure, Sacrificial Sword, Fleuve Cinder Pheromone are all great options. Similar to Kazuha, we have Sucrose. Instead of buffing elemental damage, she buffs elemental mastery, making her a valuable teammate for vape teams. She also needs full EM and 4-piece Viridescent. For energy, try to get around 160%. For weapons, Thrilling Tales is great for buffing the attack of Arlecchino. Sacrificial provides high EM and also resets skill cooldown, providing more energy. Favonius is a great option for reducing teams' energy requirements. For other Anemo supports, just give them 4-piece Viridescent, and Favonius will usually be their best weapon. Moving on to Geo characters. First we have Zhongli, the best defensive unit with Unbreakable Shield, perfect for a fragile character like Arlecchino. Give him 4-piece Tenacity and full HP build. You can use crit rate Circlet with Favonius. Archaic Petra is also a strong option, but you will have to pick up Pyro Elemental Shards with Zhongli, which sometimes becomes a headache as you might pick up some other crystal, while Black Tassel provides the highest HP and strong shield. Favonius is what I will recommend to lower teams' energy requirements. You can pair Zhongli with another Geo sub DPS like Albedo or Shori, or a buffer like Yunjin to make a double Geo team. Albedo and Shori both use similar builds. 4-piece Golden Troop or Husk of Opulent Dreams are their best sets. For weapons, use Shori's signature, Iraki Misujiri if you have it. Primordial Jade Spear is the second best. For F2P weapons, Cinnabar Spindle, Harbinger of Dawn are strong options. Wolffang and higher refinements becomes their best 4-star weapon. For Yunjin, use Favonius weapon on her. Archaic Petra will be the best one to use on her, as you can easily pick up Crystallized Shard in a double Geo double Pyro team. However, if enemies have elemental auras on them, it can be a problem. In such situations, use 4-piece Husk of Opulent Dreams on her, as it provides a total of 54% defense as long as you stack its set effect, which is quite easy, as you just need to stay off field. She can also use 4-piece Noblesse if no one else in the team is using it. Alternatively, you can use 2-piece set combinations of Husk of Opulent Dreams, an emblem. She can also use two-piece Defender's Will as it provides defense, but it is a 4-star set, so try to use the Feather and Flower from this set, as its Goblet, Sands, or Circlet will provides less stats as it is a 4-star set. For artifact stats, defense or energy recharge on Sands, defense on Goblet, and defense on Circlet. You can use crit rate Circlet with Favonius. Try to build around 50% crit rate with Favonius. Build around 160 to 200% ER. Moving on to other defensive characters. Layla is a budget Zhongli. She has strong shield and can use the Tenacity set. For her weapons, use Favonius for energy or Dockhand's Assistant for strong shield. Diona provides shield, but her healing is wasted here. Her shield is weaker than Layla's, but is decent. With her C6, she can buff the elemental mastery of Arlecchino with her burst. She can use Elegy to buff the team. Use Sacrificial Bow if it is R3+ for consistent shields, and Energy to use her burst if she is C6, or use Favonius for team energy, or use Recurve's Bow for high HP and stronger shield. For artifact sets, use Noblesse on her if no one else is using it. You need to make sure you burst consistently with Noblesse. Build around 170 to 200% energy recharge on her. Or you can use two-piece mix sets of HP percent or emblem. For artifact stats, go for HP or energy recharge on Sands, HP on Goblet, and HP on Circlet. With Favonius, try to build around 30 to 50% crit rate. I hope I covered all her supports. If I missed any character, do let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like and share the video and subscribe for more Genshin Impact content. I hope this video was helpful. That's all for this video. Thanks for watching.